June Willis was going against conventional wisdom and looking a gift horse in its mouth. She was wise and remembered what happened to Troy when they just accepted that token of friendship from the Greeks. She also knew in life if it seemed too good to be true, question it. Even with the lady who was about to get her greatest desire to come true being cautious, her wants blinded her to any warning signs her instincts were right. Even with it not all adding up and not feeling right, June had to go with the facts she had. All the evidence pointed towards somehow she had stumbled upon dating a sissy. When she first met Adam Hanks, she swore he smelled like strawberries, that slim man drinking a Diet Coke and rum at a bar. She asked why and he mentioned about not wanting to have empty calories. Then the calories thing came up again on their first date. The meal he had was a grilled chicken salad. It drove her crazy that he did steal one of her fries which came with her steak. In his words, they were bad for his hips. June knew all of that could have been wishful thinking. This lady knew that a person's perspective was one of the hampers which made people not see the total truth in reality. Still, the compliments which he gave on her outfits were not those of a typical male. He knew the name of the garments she wore. That would not have meant anything, but he talked about how they complemented her complexion or body type. Also, Adam was concerned with whether the outfit was right for the occasion. Those kind remarks were not sexually charged in nature like a normal man's compliments. Then there was more. His posture were just so feminine from time to time. When standing and waiting for her, sometimes he would have his right foot across his left foot. While getting money out of the ATM, she caught him with his right foot on his toes and twisting his ankle back and forth. Lastly, sometimes he would stand with his weight on one leg and his hand on the other hip. All of those body gestures were so natural. June knew it was not an act. Then it was how he was socially. He never wanted them to hang out with his friends and she never met them. It was no big deal, for she hated to be around men who were blind to the real order in the world. That would not have been a clue to Adam's true nature on its own, but the reason why made it so. Adam would say that he knew a woman with her mentality was not ready to be around them, that she needed to be more secure in Adam and their relationship before she was ready to deal with those types of men. June knew Adam was scared that his friends would try to break them apart. Right now, with what she was seeing, she cannot just say all these little things she had noticed were just coincidence. Adam had panty lines in his slacks. The outline of his underwear was not that of a men's pair, they were leg-high women's briefs. Plus, he was so nervous when she came to the door as he swore she was early. Before she could say anything to him, June thought of something else. Her coming to pick him up was strange. It was too early in the relationship for a man to be fine with having the woman to be picking him up and paying for the movie. She knew that a man would still want to be in charge of those parts of a relationship right then, so they could think they were the dominant one of the relationship. Adam did not. Still, that fact would not have added to her speculation if he just said fine. No, he was happy about it. He said it would be nice to be taken on a date for once. Adam said sorry, it was the 8 o'clock not 7:15 showing we were going to. I would not want to go to the 7:15 for I would not have had time to change. Never mind, I do not want to bicker about this. Just let me change out of my work slacks and we will be going. Fine, Adam, just be quick, we need to get going. The lady who was trying to confirm her suspicions looked at Adam's ass as he walked towards the stairs. She noticed a few things which were off. The slacks had no back pockets, the thread count of the fabric was high and they had a zipper in the back. Also, his butt was swaying some. Those were not men's slacks and that was not a man's walk. June had to do the calculus of the situation again, for she did not trust the answer. It just could not be that she had found what she was looking for by not looking. No way, if Adam was a sissy, it was too easy. Yet, it had to be. She looked at all the circumstances and that was the only logical conclusion. Adam was a sissy and he liked her. Adam's reaction to being caught in those women's slacks was the fact which made her realize that her hunch was right. He got defensive and actually forgot that they agreed to the time. It was ironic to the woman, for he was so adamant about the early show. He said he needed to get home for some beauty rest. June surmised the truth was he needed to get home to dress like the weak sissy he was. The wannabe mistress never had luck finding a sissy to her liking. To be more accurate, she never had luck finding a sissy which liked her. June did not know what she was doing wrong. She had read so many forced femme stories and female superiority articles online. Finding a sissy was an obsession for her. She would even read those online articles and go to sissy chat rooms and forums while at work and home. Even with being an expert of the sissy mindset, June never had any serious inquiries about a relationship. June would be so disappointed after dealing with rejection, for it was almost like the men she was talking to were just wanting a fantasy. June knew she needed to come up with a plan to capture her prey. She wanted to make sure that Corey did not flee before he is trapped in what they both desired, Adam in his rightful place as her inferior in their relationship. Oh, she would have that man wrapped around her finger. The woman who was playing the long game took her time coming up with a plan. She knew she had to play it right. It could not be fast or hard, for that would send Adam running away, and if it was too slow and soft she would lose Adam's respect. That would be a shame, for if he did, then Adam would never accept her as his superior. June pondered how such simple creatures, like men, could be so complex to understand. It was important, so her plans came together right. She understood why they were all misogynists. She would be also if she was inferior to an entire gender. Then with them being small-minded, it was easy for them to despise anyone who was better than them. At least Adam was a nice woman hater, all sissies were. Being a sissy was just a symptom of male chauvinism. A sissy wanted to emulate what they could not be. They were docile and weak, for they knew their place. They were the best type of men for June to deal with. All the different personality types for men were caused by having to deal with being born the weaker gender. June hated to deal with all those other personality types, for it was a struggle. They were not accepting of the fact they were just not as good as a woman. It was not worth her time to have to squash the fragile male ego as often as she would have had to, just to have companionship. June knew that her window of opportunity was closing. She also knew that Adam's subconscious was screaming out signs for her to take the lead. That was why he let himself get caught in those slacks. If they were at her place when he grinded his ass in her groin while cuddling, she would have pegged him with her strap-in. Yes, Adam was showing her his submissiveness to her by being the inner spoon while spooning. He wanted to be held and not to do the holding. Then it happened. If June was a believer in the fates, she would have thought those three sisters smiled down on her. No, it was just that she was just clever enough to take a chance when given the possibility to do so. It was simple. Adam was going away on Saturday and Sunday with the guys and gave her his spare key so she could water his plants. June knew the time was right, for Adam was not just showing indirect signs he wanted to be controlled by her. He asked multiple times if he could go away with the guys on the weekend. Adam also earnestly thanked her each time she said yes. That poor man needed her guidance and approval so badly. So the day came for June to have her rightful place above the man who would serve her. It was simple, just go there on Friday and let herself in. June knew as certainly as that a man should always be a step behind a self-aware woman, Adam would be dressed. The strategist went to Adam's house to carry out her plan. June walked in and heard music blaring from Adam's room. It was Boys Plus One. All she could feel was disgust. She hated boy bands. It was not for their music was bland. It was for they were just so sexist and helped make sure women never reached their true potential. Then the loathing went to delight. It would be some poetic justice for June's sissy to have a teeny bopper side of to her persona. This was for no matter how hard a sissy tried, they could never be a woman, they would always be just a poor imitation of one. They were limited by that pesky Y chromosome for their emulation to succeed. A sissy was acting in reverence to the better gender rather than thinking they could match being one, so it was fitting that they have all the bad stereotypical traits of a woman which men force on the better sex. While making her way to where her soon-to-be prized possession was, June kept on calling her soon-to-be sissy's male name. She came in and caught Adam in those same slacks as a couple of weeks ago, a pink women's t-shirt, a cheap blonde wig, a bad makeup job and flats. June acted surprised as she saw the shock on Adam's face. June inquired, "What is going on here, Adam?" Adam said, "I can explain." June stood there silent. Not saying anything until Adam dug himself a hole which he could not get out of was part of her plan. It is not what you think. It was still an one-sided conversation. You have to believe me. June just remained standing there with a stern look on her face. It did not have disdain or anger on it. The look was just one of a person who was in charge. Why don't you say anything? Now for her to help Adam to get what his heart desired, to be her property. The person who would be wearing the pants in the relationship from now on asked, "What do you want me to say?" Adam gave a sigh of relief that June started to contribute to their conversation. That you believe me? June knew it was time. Adam was at his breaking point. If she did not make him admit he was a sissy right then, he would not. The sissy inside him would retreat behind a wall of denial. Sounding like she meant business, June said, "Believe what?" Adam looked down, gulped, then said in a voice a little softer than his lower speaking voice, "I am not a sissy. You can check this room. There are no other women's clothes in it." June smiled and changed her demeanor from serious to open. "Dear, I believe you that there are no other women's clothes in this room. That does not mean you are not a sissy. Plus, it is fine if you are a sissy. But I am not." June walked over to Adam and put her hands around his waist. While looking in the man's eye who was in her clutches, she said, "It is fine that you are a sissy, just say it." June then kissed him. She forced her tongue into his mouth. The kiss was to send a message that it was fine that Adam was what he was, and also that the power dynamics of the relationship has just changed. The man wearing flats with bows on them started to say, "I am." June knew her plan was working. She had Adam on the verge of entering the world which all men should be in. The world where they were subservient to women. June gave another passionate kiss to weaken the soon-to-be sissy clinging to his weak male ego resolve. If you ever want kissed like that again, you just need to admit what you are. Men do not get kissed like that. Tears were running down Adam's face as he said, "I am a sissy, I am a sissy. There, I said it. Are you happy? Now you can start mocking me for not being a true man." Adam's new mistress rewarded her property for admitting what was true with another passionate kiss. "I would never do so. I will treasure you for what you are." Adam, sounding pensive, said, "So you will treat me good?" "Of course, I will treat you how you deserve." Sniffling, Adam said, "Good, for you will regret it if you treat me bad." The superior woman held in her temper at the threat that Adam made. She knew it came from some of the last vestiges of him being a free man. "I will not do anything to you which will give me that regret. Now, you know you do not really want to go with your friends this weekend. Give them a call and cancel. I want to spend time with my sissy. I want you to start to reap the benefits of being wrapped around my finger." Adam did as he was told, and called his friends to say he was not making it to their planned getaway. After the call, June made Adam say, "I made that call for I am wrapped around your finger." Then she had him start to call her Mistress June, and Adam finally was subdued into his world of acceptance into what his new role would be. "I am wrapped around your finger, Mistress June." That weekend was the first step into what June believed was Adam's long journey into sissyhood. The lady with the upper hand found out that Adam's sissy name was Trudy, short for Gertrude. The woman who was getting exactly what she dreamed of found the name fitting. The name itself was not cute, but the sissy yearning to be cute made it so by using a version of it which was. In her mind it was a perfect metaphor of the struggle a sissy has to be what it could never be. She had the sissy admit her new name by saying, "I am Trudy and I am wrapped around your finger, Mistress June." The next couple of months Trudy's life changed for what she saw as the worse and Mistress June saw for the better. Trudy mentioned how she thought the changes were a way Mistress was treating her badly. Mistress would correct her and explain that her pet was just fighting to try to keep what society taught men they wanted. Trudy wanted and needed a strong woman in her life to be in control, and her feeling that she was being treated badly was just not allowing herself to be in her proper role. June did not want her sissy to be confident, so she made her keep the wig for now instead of allowing her property to upgrade. It gave Trudy a mousy look. She also forbade her sissy from watching any tutorial about putting on makeup. Mistress June saw the potential of a wonderful-looking sissy and knew now was not the time to have her sissy see anything good about herself. Trudy had to be broken down, so June could mold her exactly how the mistress wanted her living trophy. There were changes in the relationship. Some of the lesser ones were Trudy never heard her male name uttered again by Mistress Judy. She had to walk 2 steps behind Mistress while in public and rush to get the door. Only Mistress June could initiate eye contact. When out to dinner, Mistress would place Trudy's order. Trudy would only talk to others when spoken to. Mistress June always promised Trudy it was for her own good and would help her to better learn her place at June's feet when Trudy brought up it was bad treatment. Each of the changes was more severe than the last. Then Miss June upped the changes. Trudy was not allowed to wear any men's clothing while in Miss June's presence, even in public. Trudy was not allowed to penetrate her mistress anymore while they were in the bedroom. Then it went to no self-pleasure for Trudy. When the submissive Sissy was ordered to explain why the new changes happened, her response was always the same, the scripted one which came from Mistress Judy. "It is for I am wrapped around your finger, Mistress June." Also, the future treatment was for the Sissy to start being used by whoever Mistress wanted her to be used by. If Mistress wanted the Sissy to please her female friends orally, Trudy would do so. If Mistress wanted her Sissy to be a cum bucket, she would be so. Mistress June was kind enough to explain it was for her pleasure and that the Sissy would learn the true joy in life was giving other people pleasure. When Trudy brought up that sounded like bad treatment, June would carefully explain why it was good. Mistress June loved the rush she had being in charge. She knew a relationship with a man was much better this way. For it to work out, it had to be that the man admired and loved the woman and the woman loved having ownership over their property, their pet. That rush of being in charge started to seep into her work life. June was using sick days when she just did not feel like going in. When she showed up, the quality of her work was slowly deteriorating. It was not a big deal. Her boss, Elliot Honeycutt, was a man. She would just sweet-talk him and he would look past her performance, and then give yet another meaningless warning. June was not bothered by the fact she used deceit to get her way. She knew men better than they knew themselves, and it was just a way to give this man what he really wanted. June believed that how she treated Trudy as a piece of property was treating her well. Men were inferior to women, so the standards were lower on what constituted good treatment to them compared to women. One day Mistress June was in deep thought, thinking of a problem. She was mulling over the issue of how to get some real sex without having to sneak around. Oh, she was not worried about her Sissy finding out. The lady, who had needs, already made it clear she was taking a lover. Of course the Sissy had no issue with this new agreement, and Trudy confirmed her understanding with the saying, "It is for I am wrapped around your finger." June did not want her friends, who were still sheep following the male shepherds, to think lowly of her. She loved to do vanilla things with them, and with Trudy becoming more and more of her true Sissy, she needed a man to take with her when it was the time for couples. Then, when lost in thought, Trudy said, "What is on your mind, Mistress June?" "Dear, do not worry your pretty little head about it. It is none of your concern. Plus, even if it was, how could a Sissy come up with a solution to a problem which I could not?" "I know, Mistress June, I would never dare think that. It is just maybe you could use me as a sounding board to think out loud." The lady, who was pining for some hot action, took into consideration what her Sissy said and came to the conclusion it would not hurt. In fact, it will help the Sissy to accept that soon Mistress' bed would be shared by a man. "See, Sissy, I want to start dating a man and do not want my friends to think ill of me for cheating on you. They are not enlightened enough to understand it is what is best for any loving relationship between a woman and a man. So I need an excuse to have a man on the side which they know about. It is easy, Mistress June, have a coming out party for me. Invite all your friends over and present me, as you see me, to the world. They would take pity on you and fully understand why you need, in your words, a real man." Trudy looked down. June knew Trudy making eye contact, for she was treating it as a real conversation. June was going to look past this mistake, for no matter how well a Sissy is trained, every once in a while they would forget their place normally. Talking as an equal would be grounds for a punishment, not today. It was for Trudy solve June's issue. Not only that, it would make June look like a martyr to her friends. They would be so sympathetic and see that June had a heart of gold. It would not be for the right reason they would see that fact, for they were still too blinded by the male-dominated society to understand the truth. The idea was so good that Mistress June was feeling benevolent towards her lowly Sissy. It reminded Mistress that she was so lucky to have a Sissy with half a brain and needed to reward her more often. June walked over and lifted her Sissy's head to look at her eye to eye and gave her a passionate kiss. "You did good, Trudy. Now do not speak out of turn again unless you are absolutely positive you have something as important as what you just said to me. You're out of character. Good suggestion is what I will do. Now I know you might think I have been harsh on you lately. It is for your own good, but now I am going to let you reap the rewards of a job well done. You can pleasure yourself in front of me tonight as you repeat I am wrapped around Mistress June's finger. Also after that party we will start to have you learn to do your makeup better and get a better wig. Tell me why you like what I said." "I like what you said for I am wrapped around your finger." The night of the party came. All of June's friends were so happy that her and Adam were having a party. They had not seen him for months and enjoyed his company. They were a little worried that their friend had lost a good man. The party did not last long, for all the guests were sickened by how the hostess treated the guest of honor. It could not have been a more disastrous outcome for June. On that night she lost every single one of her friends. She also lost all her acquaintances from social media, for they quickly found out June's true character. Even her family did not want anything to do with her. The new social pariah learned all the reasons why she was now persona non grata with the people she cared about. It was for Trudy freely told them all of the new provisions which Mistress June made Trudy follow and what was planned for the future. Trudy should have known that those people were not ready to handle the truth, so they would find June revolting. The irate loner started to tear into Trudy as soon as the last guest left. That Sissy was so going to be punished for making June's friends turn their backs on her. "How dare you tell them all of that?" While shaking and trying to gain her composure, Trudy said, "What did I do wrong, Mistress? What did you do wrong?" Mistress June stopped right there to start the huge list of what Trudy said wrong: that she had to dress like a woman, was not allowed to learn to do her makeup better, was not allowed to get a new wig, could not call June by her name. Then, before she could finish mentally completing the list, it dawned on her that the poor Sissy really did not know what she did wrong. How could she? Trudy was a man and they were all stupid. Oh, that did not lessen the discipline Trudy was getting, but made June more level-headed. "Everything you said, that is what you did wrong. You told them the truth." "Well, I had to. I am wrapped around your finger, Mistress June, and you told me I am not allowed to lie in your presence." That weak excuse frustrated June to no end. Yes, she told Trudy she was not ever allowed to lie when in the presence of her superior owner. Trudy should still have known better. If the truth would hurt or put June in a bad light, then the Sissy should lie. The Sissy should take the chance of chastisement so the superior woman does not look like she had a flaw. "Well, you should have lied. You will be punished severely for this. I know you had not been seeing that much of your friends lately, and I was just going to have you fade away from their lives." "Nah, not now. I want them to know the pathetic Sissy you are. You are not a man, yet also not a woman. I want them to mock you for the feeble, useless thing you are. So we are going to have another coming out party for you, with your friends. You will do as you were told and say you wanted all of this and it was your idea. Do you understand?" "Yes, mistress, and to tell the truth, please do not be any madder at me than you are now, but I took the liberty of planning another coming out party for me for tomorrow night. I thought this one was going to go so well and wanted to let my friends see me for what I really am now. I can make this up to you. I know of munches and will do anything I can to help us build a social life which better suits who we are going to be. Your friends would never have understood us. You would have had to lie to them, and you know you said that lying about who you are is below a superior woman. You need everyone to know what you really are, the pinnacle of humankind. I am sorry." Trudy broke eye contact again and looked down. Mistress June liked the idea of meeting other people in the BDSM lifestyle, so it would be great to finally go to a munch. She was still mad for June wanted her vanilla life also. The hypocrite saw nothing wrong with having her wanting Trudy to show the world she was a sissy, and June could have a cover which she could claim was not wanted. June laid down on her new bed, still not knowing what happened. How did she end up as the servant to Miss Trudy so quick? How did the cunning lady not see this coming? What got her the most was it was a setup from the beginning. June thought she was playing the long game, but no, Miss Trudy/Sir Adam was really the one who was. To top it off, it was not fair, in her eyes, for she did not know the rules of the game. If June knew the true objective of the game they were playing, she would not have played. Only a fool would have played from the former mistress position, for there was no chance June would have won. The irony of her being mad was lost on June. In her self-centered eyes, it was totally different than her game where Miss Trudy did not know the rules. It was fine for a superior woman to do what she wanted to get her way, but not for others. Rules did not apply to people like June, only to others who had to follow them. It was not do unto others what you would have done unto you for her. It was do unto others whatever you want, and others do unto you what you want. June had to replay the night in her head again. This was too bad to be true. Her life has become her nightmares coming true. The new slave needed to know why she did not see the warning signs. It was that June could not, her desires blinded her to the trap she walked into. The worst part of the trap came from her being careless, and she found that out at the party. Oh, the party! It took her a couple of minutes to even figure out that it was the endgame of the trap. How could she have been so vain, to not see what was right in front of her even when the conclusion was happening? The party was at her new mistress' home. That should have been a huge warning sign. The imposter sub told June that she need not show up until all the guests had arrived. If June were not accustomed to see Adam as Trudy, she would have known something was up with the arrangement. A sissy would not be able to host her own coming-out party. That was overlooked, for June did not want to deal with any of the setup for the party and thought she was in charge. Again, vanity got the best of her, and to top it off, being self-centered helped with her downfall from grace. As soon as June entered the party, she should have known something was wrong. All the men were dressed as sissies. Instead, it seemed like a Shangri-La, for she did not want to see the personal hell she condemned herself to. If she was not under the false belief she had her desires fulfilled, the lady who was duped would have noticed that only the women were serving the men. Looking back, she knew the common bane to her fall was her vanity. She shook her head when somehow a couple of the women being on leashes did not register in her head. How could a lady in a leashed collar walking behind a sissy not have been a warning sign to her? When she finally saw Trudy, June should have known it was over. Trudy was stunning, with nice hair extensions, a great makeup job, and a stunning little black dress. Her sissy was not who mistress thought she was, but still June was under the delusion she was that weak sissy. When Trudy announced the arrival of Mistress June was when it started to come together for the victim of the sting. The tone of Trudy's voice was one of mockery and full of strength as she said, "Here is Mistress June. She has me wrapped around her fingers." All the sissies laughed, and the ladies looked at the stunned woman with pity on their faces. Right then she knew the circumstances were bad for her. Instead of trying to find safe ground, the arrogant woman needed to see how she could salvage the situation. Yet again she noticed that vanity was her downfall. If she was not in shock at the disrespectful treatment, she would have gone off on every single one of those weak men in the room. Instead, she stood there waiting to see what was going to happen, like the lamb she was. June was still upset that she put up no struggle on her way to her slaughter. June had to give Miss Trudy credit, for the next part was quick and painful. The first sissy she introduced the unknowing slave to was Beatrice Honeycutt, known as Trixie to her friends. How could it not have come together for her, as who Trudy introduced as her best friend was seen by June? Again, vanity would not let her see beyond the surface or notice the last name. Trixie's male persona was Elliot Honeycutt, June's boss. If June was half as cunning and witty as she thought she was, the pieces of how the roles became reversed would have started to come clear. They did not. Again, vanity was blinding her from reality. Trixie was nice enough to explain to June that spyware was on all the computers at work. He could see the browser's history of all of his employees. June felt violated and started to speak up. Trixie informed her that it was well within her legal rights to have that on her company's property. Then the truly undercover boss said that he played matchmaker with June and Trudy/Adam. Seeing the sights that June went to made the modern-day Cupid believe that those two were a match. June needed some humility and Trudy loved to put people in their place. This was where Trudy joined the conversation. See, Junebug, that is my pet name for you, so get used to it. Female superiority is a myth. The same goes for male superiority. I am adding that so you do not think I am some sort of woman-hating man. I love women. Anyway, any woman who really believes in female superiority is just projecting their shortcomings on the other sex. They make the poor man who they trap become the proxy of them not being strong enough to act out on their desires to have the lesser role in a relationship. So now, after seeing what you wanted in a relationship, it is time that I give it to you. I promise you will be happy wrapped around my finger. June was stunned and knew that the poor man in front of her would never agree to see the truth. Instead of just leaving like she should have, the woman who thought she was stronger than she was had to set the record straight. I will never be wrapped around your finger. I am a woman and you are just a man. Yes, I am just a man, but I am a man who has friends and a job. I have all the cards. Oh yeah, if you had not figured it out, you will be getting let go on Monday. Your poor attendance and performance are the grounds for dismissal. Good luck on the job hunt with no good references. You put yourself in this situation. If you did not want it, you would not have ended up here. June did not know what to say and just stood there. All she could think was, that bitch is right. I have no friends and soon no job. The fact the new pet hated most was, without even knowing, she helped out in making herself socially and financially dependent on Trudy. Trudy went up to her new slave, looked her in the eyes and said, "This is how you claim your property, my Junebug." Then she forced her tongue down her throat and did a Trump, grabbed her by the pussy. June hated how much she enjoyed the power Trudy showed with that gesture. It put doubt in her mind about whether the ideology of female superiority was true. Maybe Miss Trudy was telling the truth now. Junebug, I know this will be hard to get used to, but you will enjoy it once you accept it. Like you said, it is hard for someone who wants what society deems to be taboo to admit it. You do not want to be a man's equal in a relationship. That is fine. I will treat you good, well, what you think is good for the subservient one. Remember, I said you would regret it if you treated me badly. The role you thought was mine in our future, it is now yours. Admit you understand it by just saying, I am wrapped around your finger, Miss Trudy. Come on, you know you love that kiss and only a weak-willed person would. If you don't, then you will never be kissed like that again. Junebug bit her lips, trying to find the will to fight off her desire to feel that rush of being under Trudy's thumb. It was just too good, and she knew it would be a while to ever get over the rush of having a man under her thumb. With how her life just imploded, the lady who just hit rock bottom needed anything to feel good. Slowly Junebug said the words which sealed her fate, I am wrapped around your finger, Miss Trudy. The winner of the Battle of the Wool smiled and said, Good girl, now go enjoy yourself with the other girls. They will tell you more about your future. It's not worth my time to explain that to you. One thing, keep an eye on my glass. I expect you to come to fill it up as soon as it is empty. I love me some Applethiny. Miss Trudy held up her glass and laughed after her comment. Junebug went to get acquainted with her new circle of friends and life. She found out when the girls were together they were freely allowed to talk to each other, and mostly the talk was about how to better please their mistresses. She also got the information that she will be joining them in working at a big box retail store. After the party was over, Miss Trudy instructed her little Junebug to start the cleanup tonight, then off to her bedroom. This was for the new mistress and slave would only share a bed if they go to bed at the same time, or June did so before mistress. There was no need to take the unneeded chance of waking up the one who truly had the other wrapped around their finger.